You are very welcome to another installment in the Do Women Love Men and Do Men Love Women series. This is going to be our fifth. I know I'm late with it, but today we've got 10 comments rounded up, and they are diving into what life is in the American culture. Do women love men? Why not? If not, and we got a comment from a woman, actually, the only one here. Then we've got more on generalization, more on OnlyFans, more on the YouTuber community. So we've got plenty of topics to dive into. As always, there's going to be a timestamp below, so you can choose the comment you want to listen to. And I will love to see your comments for the next one. All right. Now, before I get into the video, I also want to remind you that you can find me way more often on Patreon. I'm posting audio practices there, I'm posting videos, I'm answering comments from the users, so I'm more present there. It's also with a paid membership. So consider doing that. I need to tell you that that is the only work that I'm doing these days. No more individual sessions, no more live events in person or any other way, because I'm writing my novel, okay? And I'm 5 chapters in out of 8. So this is good news. I'm actually making progress. All right, that being said, we're going to get into the comments. So the first one goes like this. Thanks, Liana. I appreciate your spiritual perspective. I haven't heard of the wall before, but I'm not surprised some men think in these terms, and it may apply both ways, as I found that my dating value, quote unquote, seems to be sinking with age as well. American culture is pretty savage. I live in the Northeast and consumerism is still king, unfortunately. And as the internet has made people even more aware of who has and who has not, there is rising bitterness among many men. I know it's unhealthy, but I understand where it's coming from. Men are having a hard time adjusting to the new feminine. And I can actually relate to wondering sometimes if women love men. Now, certainly my mother loved my brother and I to a fault, but even she is skeptical of most, not all, other women. We're all kind of complicated, huh? I hope that as I continue to try to improve, that I'll come across the right person on a similar path, though I'm also admittedly a creative loner by nature. So I want to appreciate Rob Falgiano for putting out this vulnerable comment. I think everybody, I can relate to a lot of this stuff. Like, I'm also wondering, are there any men that love women? Because also for me, it has been a challenge to find somebody that I have mutual attraction with, mutual emotions with. Hasn't been easy, okay? And it hasn't been easy for multiple reasons. And this is a more common story than we might think. So I can relate. It's totally a savage, not just American culture is savage. I think the world is, from a certain perspective, the world is savage. And there's a lot of the online world, do I call it? What do I call it? The online, period. A lot of it is affecting how we choose mates, how we stick with one person and not worry so much about better options out there, or what people think of us, how they judge us, how they see us, how we appear online in other people's eyes, and so on. So I can totally relate. And the only way that I can go about this, just like Rob here says, the only way is to move forward, continue to develop oneself, and keep ourselves in a positive mindset that we might meet somebody who is a good match for us. So it's not that we don't meet people out there. We're talking about compatible people, people with whom we also have reciprocity. Like, if you want to hear of my standards in dating, it's not how much money the other person has, or how old they are, or how tall. It's, do I have mutual attraction with the person, mutual emotions with them? Do I see the world in the same way? And then, are we also compatible? Not just in intimacy, but in overall life. Because I don't know if you've come across the content of the School of Life on YouTube. However, there are a lot of really good points made there that even people who love themselves will have to talk about socks, doing the dishes, cleaning the house. What kind of glasses do they buy? Like, couples fight in real life, not in movies and in fantasy. They fight sometimes for the stupidest things, and compatibility is actually avoiding a lot of the stupid fights out there and a lot of the comparisons with others. And this is why personal growth is really a big thing. My take, I resonate a lot with what Rob said. That's why he's the first comment that I'm putting, or his is the first comment that I'm putting here, because I just found it so rich. Okay, moving on to the second one. I'm a woman that no longer loves men. When I was young, I loved unconditionally and had many male friends. But as I grew up, I understood differences between post-pubescent men and women. I've realized men can't love women, at least not while their testosterone is high, or they can't love women in the way women love. So there's no point in women looking for love. Marriage of convenience makes the most sense for heterosexual women, or ongoing singleness. There are some men that love women, but not many. Most men first learn love when they have children. Heavy comment, all right? Now you can read what I replied to her, and I told her that I understood where her perspective came from. And I also asked if this way of looking at things and her decision, essentially, either marry for convenience or keep going single, was that working for her? Was she happy? Now, she never replied. Either she didn't want to reply or she didn't see the comments. So I don't know in her particular case. But I know that this place from where she commented is the place where most men who say they don't love women or who think that women don't love men, this is the same place where they come from. They needed to be loved in a certain way, and most women couldn't, whatever reason they had, and therefore they gave up on women loving men. And this is her case also. She realized that she can't be loved in the same way that she loves. So she realized that she can't be loved in the way that she needs to, so she decided she no longer loves men. After asking her the questions that I asked in writing there, my take here is, in this situation, I think it would totally benefit somebody to take a few therapy sessions just for this topic. Why? There's a heavy emotion there, and there's a lack of hope. I too, like a lot of women, like I'm not an exception. Please understand, I am the rule here, not the exception. I'm not an exceptionally happy or an exceptionally like a woman that has had relationship after relationship, or so none of that. In most cases, I didn't find my mutual feelings, attraction, all of that, and compatibility. Okay, my two rules or my two standards in relationships. Most of my life, I have been single because of that reason. But I'm not bitter when it comes to men. Honestly, I understand. Everybody likes what everybody likes. Everybody needs what everybody needs. And then there's also this pesky thing called compatibility. Even when people love themselves, they might not be good for each other because they might be so different in their overall existence that life with one another would just be impossible. Not to say crazy making for some people. Okay, so long-term relationships are really more complicated endeavor than we want to think. But even in that situation, I'm not bitter, I'm not depressed, and I still have my hope. Okay, I'm optimistic, I'm positive, I'm showing up in my community, I'm taking care of myself to the best of my ability, and I'm taking care of a dog also. Like, I'm not a woman with cats, I'm a woman with a wolf. So just to put that perspective out there. But that being said, I don't have the heavy emotion there. And most of the women that I work with who, let's say that they have gone through what this woman has gone through, that's what I work with them on. How do they feel about the whole thing? I can't promise anyone that they'll find the love of their life. I can't promise anyone that their relationship is going to function and be beautiful and they'll live happily ever after. Nobody can promise them that. What I can do is hold space for myself so that I can in turn hold space for others, also women mostly, to clean up their inner space realm, okay, inner selves. Clean it up meaning bring back positive, optimistic, joyful, vibrant, energetic take on life overall. That's very important. If we don't have that, there is no way we can attract a happy relationship ever. Like, the chances of it are zero. That's my perspective. So it's totally worth, no matter what happened to us, no matter what our life stories have been, for both men and women to work on themselves. Okay, that is the only commentary that I'll make here. No, men do not love in the same way that women love. As much as women do not love men in the same way that men love women. We are different, biologically speaking, socially speaking, and then in terms of personal values, experiences that have shaped us, and the personal work that we've done, and the level of understanding that we have. So all of these factor in how we show up in love for ourselves and then for others. So the only thing here is, again, how much do you work on yourself, especially when you carry these heavy emotions? How much do you work on purging them? And how much do you realize that purging them will give you a better chance at finding the best person for you, and you being the best person for you and then for the other and for the relationship? Because it's still work there. That's my take on it. Okay, I hope this woman, and anybody that feels like she does, changes her perspective. But the only way I see somebody changing their perspective is by doing personal work, honestly, and working on their life's dreams or goals. Those are also important. No matter how much you see men in the manosphere saying that women who have a career are not, or dreams, or it doesn't matter, in actual reality, it does matter that that person is a whole rounded being with dreams, goals, stuff that they do, topics that they have to bring to the table of conversation. Those relationships aren't just about having kids and having sex and who pays the bills. There's also about how the other person is and how you are for the other person, how you both know to make your lives beautiful, really. And here comes the sunshine, literally. Okay, so we're moving on to the next comment. How could women love men? They don't love themselves. I, as a man, didn't love myself for a long time. I know I couldn't really love another as long as I didn't love myself. And women are way more focused on deriving, or at least trying to derive, their happiness from the outside world. Material Girl from Madonna, that was in 1985, I think, wasn't just a song name. Women are very materialistic and very egocentric, and only very seldom try to find happiness in themselves. So the first part of this guy's message, I totally agree with. I, as a man, didn't love myself for a long time. I know I couldn't really love another as long as I didn't love myself. True. If you don't have it inside you, you can't offer it to anybody else. And I'm going to take a step forward here. If you don't have it inside of you, you can't offer it to others. You can't see it in others being offered to you. You can't recognize it. Okay? You can't give what you don't have. You can't recognize in the outside something that you don't have on the inside. And by the way, Material Girl was just sarcasm. It wasn't really depicting women, and Madonna has said so. She was just making fun of societal expectations of women and of men. It was a caricature. Okay? Women also have emotions. Women also have things that they want to achieve in their lives. And they also give themselves for their children, for their brothers, sisters, for their parents. Like, there's so much more to a woman than just what this guy says. But when you still don't have love for yourself, you can't offer it to others, you can't recognize it in others. Please understand, a man or a woman that is loving, genuinely loving, even if they can't spark attraction in another, because that's also important and that's a totally different thing, they can still ignite love, unconditional love, in others. and women will still resonate and treat in a loving way a man that has love for themselves. Maybe that man is not so attractive to a given woman or to more women. Again, attraction is also important, and it's a different thing. There's a lot of factors into that also. But when you put women just into deriving material gains from others or trying to derive material gains, and you fail to look at the complexity of a woman, perhaps you don't have enough love for yourself also. There are many women that loved every single one of us, man or woman, that have helped us reach the stage where we are today in our families, friends, relatives, teachers, other people. Okay, love has many forms and many degrees of intensity. I think that comments like these just show superficiality. Honestly, at some point we're going to have to snap out of the women are just materialistic and they want to seek gains from others and they can't love. Hopefully we'll make that jump soon. Next comment. I think nowadays men are more stable and good about themselves to be in a relationship than women. But then again, I'm generalizing on the generalized, very important point. But with social media, only fools, money driven, it's so fucking hard to find a good woman nowadays. And with good, I mean not some slave. So I like the Only Fools association here. I'm one of the people that doesn't like that platform. I haven't even gone on it. I don't care to go on it, neither to consume anything, neither to offer anything. I could totally say the same thing about women. Because why? I'm a woman and I work with a lot of women. And I see them having issues and addressing them in a very constructive way. So in my bubble, I could say, I think women are more stable than men. And they are better at being in relationships than men are. But then I would also be throwing some stuff out there that is not based on any proof. It's just my social circle or my bubble. So his comment is probably with his bubble, okay, what he sees around himself. We don't know how most men are or how most women are. That's why I really don't want to generalize here. And I want to bring it back to every individual, because ultimately we do care about our own happiness. And when we care about our happiness, when we make sure that we are happy, we can also be there for others. We are better at showing up for others, society, friends, family, work, anything. Honestly, you're going to take a lot of the successful people out there. Some of them out there are honest enough to say that they can wake up early in the morning and keep a very good discipline because, and I've actually heard this one from one guy, he's an army dude. He was on Andrew Huberman's podcast. I forgot his name. Okay, weird name anyway. But he said it, like, the only way I can keep my discipline is because I have a wife. And I'm happy. My wife takes care of me, speaking of how women love men. And I've got a good job. So I've got these two pillars that keep me stable. Therefore, I can keep my discipline and so on. If we keep having these negative mindsets about others, it's really, really hard to find a partner. Please understand. Even when you clean yourself, it's still a matter of compatibility and reciprocity. Even then, it's sometimes challenging to keep a relationship when you find these. So I think it's really important to clean up our way of thinking. Is it hard to find people out there? It might be. That's how he ends his message. He says that he finds it really hard to find a good woman. And by good woman, he means not some slave. I'm sure that's a good commentary there. He doesn't just want somebody that washes, cooks, and cleans for him. That's what I take from his comment. But is it hard to find somebody out there? Probably. This is a subjective thing. But ultimately, it's how you deal with it, how you see it, and how you hold your own, no matter what your experience is. Okay? I think it's possible and very beautiful when it happens to find the right person. And by the way, women in my community, they come from all walks of life. Single, divorced, married, with children, without children. In menopause, before menopause, very, very young, and so on. Okay, so women in all stages with all kinds of situations, they still want to work on themselves. I think it makes us really, really much better at life overall, not just intimacy and relationship. So hopefully this guy will, if he hears this, maybe this message will land with him. Moving on to the next comment now. As a man, I find the botoxed women more unnatural and less attractive. It seems like the world is normalizing fake more and more. The internet can also be a destructive place. All of those pill channels are... This is the guy next door commenting. So first of all, Botox. If you're thinking like Botox, you can't really see it. It's not a filler. Botox will just make wrinkles less apparent. Plumped lips are with fillers, okay? Hyaluronic acid. That's what you see with a lot of people. And when they inject stuff in their face that makes their faces fuller, usually bigger lips, like way too big lips, it's not Botox, it's hyaluronic acid. Well, that's a detail. Now, why do women do it? First of all, let me tell you, what do most men, quote unquote, because there's a big discussion here on the internet about most men, most women, what do they want? Women that look sexy and young. So young people have plumper faces and plumper lips. That's why a lot of women plump themselves up, because they want to be more attractive and they want to make sure that they are chosen. Everybody wants to be in a relationship, okay? Maybe one or two people want to be in others' relationships. There's actually a joke that I had on my Facebook, personal Facebook, in my friends list. There was a man, he's a coach. He was really, really funny. He said, I want to get into a relationship, but I don't know in whose. Anyway, like leaving jokes aside, everybody wants to be in a relationship. Nobody's dream is to be single for life. So in the case of women, just like in the case of men where they try to make money and have cars and house and show themselves really potent financially and in social status and so on, because they want to make sure that they get the woman, whatever woman they want, so that they don't remain single. That's what women, or that's why women Botox and do hyaluronic acid, okay, and silicone and Brazilian butt lifts and whatever else they do, because they want to make sure that they are the most attractive and they look young for longer and they stay in relationships. Okay, that's where it comes from. The whole beauty industry plays on our fears, worries, flaws, shortcomings, and it sucks a lot of money out of us and time and energy, because you got to sustain those over the long run. And yeah, it's so much easier to give into your fears than actually work on yourself. And let me tell you, a woman that grows older and older, like everybody, because everybody grows old, but she doesn't do plastic surgery, she's not going to be so attractive. And a lot of women realize that even if they do work on themselves, most men don't give a shit about that. That's what their thinking is. That's why they go for the plastic surgeries. Because if they didn't have to worry about being chosen, they wouldn't invest in all of this. Please understand, society is normalizing, not fake. Society is making more money out of people's worries. That's it, really. And the online is a really good field for that. Okay, we play people by their fears, a lot of them. So I don't really adhere to that, but I'm aware that it's really, really hard to work on yourself without doing the external stuff. And I'm not judging those women. I understand where they come from. Okay? And the fear of not being chosen or loved, the fear of being single is really, really big. It's really, really tough to work on it just by inner work. And it's so much easier to pay somebody money to make you beautiful. It is. Like, let's see it. All right, next comment now. We're going to get into two really long comments. I'm just going to read them and acknowledge them because I don't really know how much more I can contribute. Here's the first one. The YouTuber community is full of red pill and black pill angry males who take out their rage and frustration by creating a myth that men are holier and better people than women, more selfless than women, etc. It's extremely cringy and does not match reality, including the reality in their own lives. Rather than understand that the flaws of the Western patriarchal paradigm, they endlessly defend it and see women as the enemy. Of course, women, to them, are incapable of love, since women in their actual lives got tired of playing mommy to a bunch of guys who were afraid to be vulnerable to anyone else, and ended up becoming overly emotionally dependent on wives, girlfriends, etc. Rather than approach women as human beings who are self-centered, just like them, they create a false image that men aren't self-centered, which is ridiculous since all human beings are self-centered, and even a lot of selfless behaviors are actually motivated by the desire to be loved or seen as heroic. But women are self-centered just because those same women didn't conform to men's self-centered image of the goddess angel who emanates unconditional love and eternal devotion that they were expecting. So I think this comment speaks for itself. I totally appreciate it. I relate to the manosphere having just this predicament at its core. We want women to give certain things, and if they don't give those things, well, they're not capable of love. And it's the same with women that are bitter. We want men to love, and we want them to give us certain things, and if they don't give those things to us, then we don't love them back. There's, again, the lower nature of humanity is at play here. And this is what comes out of it. This is the result. Until we start to work on ourselves and accept that people can fail us, both men and women, parents, families, friends, children sometimes, okay? There are a lot of heavy stories out there. And so long as we understand that even we can fail others, there's a big one there, we're just gonna play by these scenarios and point the fingers at others and say they don't love, they don't know how to love. But I know, I'm great, I'm better. So it's not the majority of people, okay? As for the red pill and black pill, I'm red pill, black pill, blue pill, white pill. I'm completely parallel to this. Like the only pills that I take are green, okay? Chlorella or spirulina. When I hear of these currents, I'm like, okay, let me be. I'll just go to my practices and that's it. I don't have the bandwidth for this. And quite frankly, I don't have the energy. I got a lot of stuff on my plate to start to study all kinds of pills, honestly. So this one is a comment that I relate to, and I want to honor it here. And there's another one from the same man. I'm going to put it on screen also. Ever notice how men are so fond of claiming that sex is somehow some gift that women give to men, or that it's owed or an obligation to men? Heaven forbid that women actually enjoy sex or have sexual interests or desires of their own. Interestingly, the cultures where men are expected and competently trained to bring women to orgasm every time they have a sexual experience, such as the Trobriand Islanders of New Guinea, the Moriagons of Central India, the Tuareg of the Sahara, or the Wayuu of Colombia, do not learn to associate sex with being some chore, quote unquote, that mommy wife does to make the guy happy. And women are a lot more eager and active sex partners in such a culture. Also, Robert Brifault was literally a misinformation machine. He lied through his teeth about the supposed lack of monogamy in non-Western or tribal cultures, including misquoting or completely misunderstanding entire passages of various primary source documents to support his biased paradigm. No actual social, cultural anthropologist takes him remotely seriously. Also, the basic notion of Brifault's law, which was actually formulated by Darwin rather than Brifault, is that universally males compete for female attention rather than the other way around. And it's the male who engages in courtship behavior much more than the female across species. This is totally hogwash. Literally, thousands of animal species do not evidence such behaviors, and female competition for male mates is extremely common, especially in birds and monogamous monkeys, such as owl monkeys, titi, or no way how to pronounce it. In human societies, females very frequently are expected to lead the process of courtship rather than the males, especially in the sorts of societies where women are more positive about their sexualities, like the ones I listed above. Monogamy and polyandry have a very ancient history across human cultures, and both are associated with female competition and male choice, something the very, very, very simplistic paradigm of modern evolutionary psychology is totally unequipped to explain. So, yes, like I said with the previous comment, I totally relate to what this man says and I can understand it. The more women are treated as human beings, just like men are treated as human beings, with their own needs, desires, agency, including in sex, the better everybody's going to be. If we're going to start to judge women by how many partners that they've had, but not judge men by how many partners that they've had, that's not going to go places. And more women, that's the reality nowadays, we're not taking it. Is it the majority of women? I don't know. I don't have numbers. I'm just saying that more women nowadays across cultures, not just in the Western culture, are sick and tired of being expected to be these pure women that do only what men want. Okay, that's a very outdated view on women's sexuality. And more women seek their own pleasure and they want to understand it. And they, for their own health also. There's a lot of medical research that shows that women who are actually satisfied, they're getting what they want and they need in sex also, they are healthier in terms of psycho-emotional health and even hormonal health or physical health overall. And the relationship is much better. And this one actually makes sense for both people. If one of the partners isn't getting at all what they want and they're subjected to a lot of judgment, they're not going to be happy. Therefore, the relationship is not going to be happy because there's at least two people, or some more. And some partners are hidden. That's also the case. We're not going to get into that topic. But in a dyad, both people need to be happy. Both people need to get what they need. Otherwise, it's not a relationship. It's just a, I'm using you and that's it. No matter who's doing it, man or woman. So yeah, as long as we don't start to view women also, at least with the comment that originally started this series, do women even love men? Well, does anybody love anybody? Okay, what does anybody need? And if we don't start to ask that of ourselves and start to provide those things for ourselves, we're not going to stand a chance to get the relationship that we want and also keep it for the long run in a healthy way. This is my take on it. Okay, next comment. I agree. Many people need to stop talking badly about both women and men. Many people dodge bullets in life, but it doesn't mean we should apply negatives to a whole gender. The world consists of lovely women and some not so lovely ones. This is again the guy next door. Yeah, that is the truth. There are some lovely people out there and some not so lovely ones. So we need to stop applying the nasty labels to an entire gender, whether it's men or women. Remember, there was a comment also from a woman here portraying the very same thing about men that men in the comment section were portraying about women. So please understand, this goes both ways. Both genders can find dissatisfaction, but generalizing based on our life experiences is not a healthy way to go forward, not even with our own lives, let alone for the society. A happy individual contributes to a happy society. Frustrated individual contributes to a frustrated society. It's just that simple. And a frustrated individual is also easier to manipulate, get to pay money for all sorts of things. That is also true. Consumerism nowadays is based on a lot of our misery, doubts, fears. This one's capitalism is savage from that perspective. My view. Okay. I don't have research on it. It's just my perspective. So I try to stay on the healthy side of it, and therefore I try to work on myself and really make sure what I consume, okay, where I invest my time, energy, and money. And that starts with my mindset, okay? Otherwise, I'm just going to be played by the lower nature of humanity, which also is enmeshed with capitalism. That's also there, okay? Please understand. So I agree with the guy next door. Let's not apply one label to the entire gender. Okay. This next comment, I really loved it. This one's from Davlavi. So he says like this. Very good discussion. The only generalization I take from this is know thyself. Yeah, if we're ever going to generalize something, this is it. Know yourself, work with yourself, and the very generalized message here is that you need particular things. So your personal growth process is going to look different. You're going to need different things at different stages of your life. Whatever happens in your life is unique, and that one will also play a factor or a role into how you show up, how much you can work with yourself at a given time, how much you have to show up for other responsibilities, and so on. And that also is going to affect your relationship sometimes. It's also true. Okay, some relationships are not ruined because the people in them don't love each other or are not compatible. Either one of the people in the relationship or both are facing really nasty life situations. And that sometimes can break a relationship. It can bring misery. That also happens. Their children can die, can disappear. Somebody else very important to them might die and they might have to leave. Somebody maybe is from a different country and they're forced to go back because maybe a war broke in their country and so on. These are life stories. I've seen them. Okay, not only do I live in a country that is near another one at war, and I've seen families being torn apart because of it, I've also seen people going through really challenging life situations in relationships and then breaking up and being miserable for the rest of their lives. It's totally possible. So know yourself, work with yourself, have kindness and compassion, first for yourself and then for your partner. It's not just broad talk. It's really important. And last comment, I really want to bring this one up also. You can only love and understand others in as much as you love and understand yourself. Otherwise, you do not have that love and understanding to give. Yes, this is one of the core principles of doing self-work. If you don't have love inside you, for you first and foremost, you cannot offer it to others. And next, what I say, you cannot even recognize it in others when it's being offered to you. Because sometimes it can also happen. You're in a really dark place. Other people that have love for themselves, they're in a light place. They come and they offer love, but you can't see it in those moments. You're just too covered in those, well, the heaviness of desperation, desolation, misery, whatever, hopelessness, whatever else you have. Okay, so if you don't have love inside you for yourself, you can't offer it to others, you can't recognize it in others, especially when it's being given to you. It might not be given to you in the way that you think that it should be given. That doesn't mean it's not being given to you nonetheless. So that's why it's important to love ourselves. That's why the first principle when you're going on any kind of personal growth path, even if it's therapy and that's it, that is the first principle. Work on loving yourself. And what does that mean? Well, first of all, knowing yourself, healing your own wounds, slowly showing up for yourself in the way that you need to, until you feel so confident and happy and at peace with yourself that you can start offering it to others. It happens naturally. Okay, that's the very principle here. And I love this comment. Kevin Mai said it, and that's why I want to conclude with it, because I think it's a really positive note to take with us. All right? So you can only love and understand others in as much as you love and understand yourself. Okay, that being said, I'm going to conclude here. I'm going to look forward to your comments. If there are enough, I'll probably make a number 6 installment in the series. If not, I'm showing up more regularly on Patreon, and I am a busy bee writing in the novel. Okay, I love it. It's a challenge. I love it. I hope once it's ready, it will be loved by others also. And every now and then, yes, I'm going to show up here as well. So I'm here. I wish you a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next video.